realm of pages. I hope you're doing great, and if you're not, I hope you are soon. So today we're doing another special episode, guys. Celebrating 300 subscribers, we're continuing with the Malazan Talkthrough, and 300 subscribers is chapter 3. So we're going to do chapter 3 today, and I have been hinting at this before. I just want to say thank you everyone for subscribing, and everyone who's supported the channel this far. This image is where we left off last time in the last episode. So if you remember where chapter 2 ended, this is where we ended. And just want to take a couple of minutes to give a thank you and give a little update and stuff to look forward to before we get into this. So, as usual, I'm celebrating with a wine glass with water and some ice and some rose salt because it's early in the morning. So, I'm not going to be having the 7-Up with the bubbles. So basically, I've come to the conclusion for the channel because things are looking good and people are starting to catch on to it. I am making a commitment here. Okay, here's my vow. For every 100 new subscribers, I will make a new episode of this series. So if I get 400, I'll make chapter 4. If I get 500, I'll make chapter 4, so on and so forth. And I make this vow for the entirety of Gardens of the Moon, okay? So the entirety of Gardens of the Moon, I make this vow. So that will be up until chapter 24, because the prologue is with chapter 1 and the epilogue is with chapter 24. I think chapter 24 is the final one. So that's basically it, guys. Just a few seconds, I'm going to bring the book, because, I record everything live. I don't edit stuff. I don't, So bear with me. Just got to get the book just in case I want to check something or read something or quote something. So just want to say thanks again to you guys. It feels really good. And this document, for those of you who haven't seen this or haven't seen the series yet, please check it out from the first episode because I actually go through the document, who made it. I'm going to link his these guides because these PDF guides for Malazan Book of the Fallen are so good. And the reason why I wanted to make these videos are actually just to show it to you, that it exists, and encourage people to use it while they're reading because it's really fun. And after I read, I go through these guides, and it's just a really good way to experience Malazan, in my opinion. So it's more that I highly recommend it, and I want to show you guys. And the talk through itself is more directed towards people who have read Gardens of the Moon. So I don't want you to, as a new reader, check these videos out. Please don't. Check out my other stuff. I got a lot of other content for new readers. But it's more for those who, maybe not even those who finished Gardens of the Moon, but for those who have gotten into the series, like a couple of books. I'm currently on book 7, for example. So, because I'm going to talk about everything. I'm not going to spoil things beyond Gardens of the Moon if it's not necessary, but I'm going to mention some stuff here and there, like, oh shit, I have a different perspective on this now. So just a little disclaimer there, but yeah, so just want to give some thanks. Starting this video, giving that vow, making that vow that for every 100 subscribers, there will be a new chapter here up until chapter 24. And that is a promise up until chapter 24, Gardens of the Moon. And that is a vow I'm making hereby, here and now. And just letting you know about this guide as well, and that this is not going to be totally spoiler free. This is me going through it, but it's not like a read through where I go through everything meticulously. I'm just going through this little PDF guide and just telling you my thoughts basically and filling it out. So this is probably best for OG Malazan fans, probably fans that are more experienced than I, because you'll have even more perspective than me because I'm just looking at it from the perspective of a first-time reader. So yeah, chapter 24 is the last one. So that is my promise. That is my pledge. For every 100 new subs, there will be a new episode of this series. So it's actually up to you people listening. From now until next episode, every subscription is a 1% vote. And it's basically like a Kickstarter, but it's just like you don't have to pledge anything to me, you just have to subscribe. So if you want this kind of content to continue in the future after this episode, Like, comment, subscribe. Everything matters, and let's keep this going. Let's keep this alive because I really got momentum here, and I'm really enjoying this. So why not? So that was a little introduction, and without further ado, that was a lot of further ado. Let's continue with the Malazan talkthrough, and let us commence chapter 3. So. Let us see. Gotta click. Such a boomer. There we go. So we start off with Captain Perrin, or he's going to become Captain Perrin, or is. It's been 2 years since the Itko Khan massacre, and he's on a boat to Janabakis. And Captain is actually a really high ranking, so it's kind of strange that he gets that ranking at such a young age. And, it's kind of obvious that, he's this noble kid that was sent from court, basically. But people don't know everything about him because he's actually had some experience due to the stuff that we read. And while he's on this boat, Topper appears via Imperial Warren and informs him about Sorry, basically. And that seems to be his mission, that he's going to take command of Whiskey Jack's squad. And they're aware of the fact that there's something off with Sorry, and that she might be connected to this whole mystery that Perrin has been trying to track for the last couple of years. And Topper says that a god is using her, and she's going to strike at the heart of the Empire. So, there's a lot of things converging here. Not everything is clear, but that's basically the gist of the mission. And Topper also tells Perrin that last scene wants to get rid of the old guard because she's kind of paranoid, and she wants to be, make sure that she is the one in charge here that everyone's listening to. And then he leaves. So that was a really, really interesting scene. And basically the point of Perrin's mission right now is to take command of Whiskey Jack's squad. And Whiskey Jack is like a legendary soldier. So he's going to take command of his squad, and he also needs to be careful because this girl, Sorry, this recruit, is suspected that there is a god that's using her, and this is actually a very dangerous person, and we need to be careful of this person while he takes over Whiskey Jack's squad. No pressure, man. What really made me laugh here and was kind of funny is the way Perrin talks to Topper. He's super disrespectful and irreverent of him, which is kind of funny because I like their banter where Topper is this older claw, and he's expecting Perrin to, he's being nice to Perrin, expecting him to be, formal back, but Perrin's like, you ain't shit. I like that dynamic. It's kind of funny. Yeah, so that's basically it, and Perrin reaches the Genebaris. It's like a port city near by the sea. On Janabakis, he meets a claw, and he gets the information, and he's gonna ride a coral. A coral is a big ass, massive, giant dragonfly, basically / helicopter. So that's basically where we're at. So here's some really cool artwork of Perrin. I don't think I remember seeing this before. I'm probably gonna use this for a short. Dang, this is good. This is the same artist that made that Animander Rake half dragon image. That's so fantastic. Angel 1802. And there is a coral. Look at that massive thing. But their wings are very sensitive, so don't stick a finger in a wing unless you want to fall down, basically. That's what someone said. And this is where we're at. So right now we are at the Genebaris, which is in the north, the ringed in area. And he's flying down by coral down to the Moranth. So that's basically it, and then going to Pale from there, because that's where the soldiers are, the bridge burners. So let's go. Let's continue. We got the visuals. We got the first scene. Let's continue. Okay, second scene is Tattersail POV, and she's on her way to meet Tayshrin, and she meets Belladon that's mourning. Belladon has the remains of Nightchill in a sack, basically. Her rotting remains, which is kind of messed up, man. And he's really mourning, and he's in a really, really, really bad place and totally ruined. and he's gonna raise a barrow for Nightchill in the Rivi Plains or something like that. And Tattersail kind of tells Belladon that Tayshran was actually the one is a traitor here and responsible for Nightchill's death, and Belladon is rejecting this and saying Tayshran helped the Empire deal with an insane emperor and he protects us, etc., etc. And it's interesting here when you've read more than Guardians of the Moon that Belladon doesn't seem to know a lot about the situation. Tattersail knows more about the situation, but we're going to find out that we're going to get to know more about the situation later. So I just love how Steven Erikson uses these. A lot of things about Pale are amazingly done. Like the whole premise with the claw, we're going to get to that later. But this is also so well done because you think you understand something, someone misunderstands it, but you think you know better than them. But then there are like multiple other layers to it. It's like the layers of the onion, There's not only one or two or three layers. There's like several. So there's something I love about this scene. And, we have some compassion here from Tattersail where she asks to cast a protective spell, a sealing spell on the remains of Nightchill, and Belladon accepts this. So it's a very sad scene, and this huge giant of a man, this Telemann Toblakai, which I think the epigraph of the chapter, which is one of my favorite epigraphs of all time. It's my favorite epigraph in Guardians of the Moon. It's kind of referring to because he's the only Telemann Toblakai in this book, I think, and that poem is beautiful. It's fantastic. Maybe we should read it. Maybe I should read it sometime. I made a song about it so you can check that out if you can find it. So yeah, she basically casts a spell, but they have this disagreement. Tayshran is bad since Tattersail and Belladon trusts Tayshran. So Belladon is part of the old guard as well. So yeah. This very interesting interaction. As we move along, we go to Whiskey Jack. Whiskey Jack's POV is basically he's talking to Kalam and Quick Ben about a new captain coming, and they're talking about them being targeted by the Empress, talking about the Moranth, like there are a green and black and gold Moranth, but no one's seen the gold Moranth. They're like complaining like, what's going on here? We're being targeted by the Empress. A lot of bridge burners have died in Pale, and it seems like the old guard is being killed off, which is something that Topper confirms to Perrin. So we kind of understand that they're suspicious, but their suspicions are not totally off. And then they basically talk about new captains that came being killed by Garrote, which is basically Garrote is a kind of a thread or rope or something long that you put around someone's neck to kill them. Like that's pretty brutal. They also talk about Sorry being evil. Sorry is a new recruit, and Quick Ben is kind of scared of him. They also mention Hairlock, like using him for some purpose, and also maybe involving Tayshran and Tattersail, kind of like hinting at that. Like Tattersail might be used by them as well, and Tayshran, because Tattersail has the remains, and if I remember correctly, and Tayshran there's something off with him. So they go to meet the new captain, and Fiddler and Sorry arrive as well on horseback. So that's that scene. Back to Tattersail. So she meets up with Tayshran, and they see Whiskey Jack's squad coming riding from a distance. And Tayshran asks for a reading of the Deck of Dragons from Tattersail, and he actually asks her about the spinning coin, and she's like, damn, you already know this? And this is very tense because at this point she thinks he's the villain, like he's the biggest fucking villain, it seems, because he caused all these issues. He took the collateral damage thing at Pale, and he was okay with everyone dying there, and then he kind of killed everyone off with his magic. Like at this point, fuck Tayshran is basically the feeling. And she has to deal with this shit and do a fucking tarot card reading, which is uncomfortable. So this one is really cool too, because the thing I love about this is we got a scene already in chapter 2 that gives us a Deck of Dragons reading, and we get one here as well. They're not this frequent. They're very infrequent later in the series, if I remember correctly. But I just love the fact that this is solidified in a way where this is an important thing and this is epic. You basically get a scan of the future as a reader, but it's unclear, but it's still clear enough for you to get something. So I love that. So the first card she draws is Judgment and True Sight. It's the orb. The second card is the version of High House Death, which is really interesting because this is like obviously referring to Sorry. It probably wasn't as easy to see before, but now it's easy to see once you've read the book. The third card is Assassin of High House Shadow. Oh, I wonder who that is, Cotillion. And the fourth card is Upon, which is Ladies held high, lords held low, which means good luck, because the lady pulls you and gives you good luck. The lord pushes you and gives you bad luck, but they're both the same, basically. So there's some connection here between Sorry being possessed, obviously, and then Upon, and then the crown is symbolizing Darujhistan. This is amazing imagery. I love this. And then she stops at some point, because, she can't do anymore, and Tayshran is impressed because he doesn't have, even if he's a very powerful mage, he doesn't have this level of being able to use a deck of dragons. And he also mentions that the Shadow Realm is new. When they talk about the High House Shadow, he mentions that the Shadow Realm is new, and the birth of this realm is really troubling because, usually not that powerful. So they do mention that. And let's just check this out. Like the imagery of these cards, we have no idea what these cards actually look like, but the artwork that's out there is just so amazing, so fantastic. And remember, guys, there I put I include the credits part of this document, so you can always see the links and stuff like that for the artists. I always want to give the artist credits, so super important. So let's continue. Let's see here. I just love these readings, man. I wish we could get a deck of dragons, like a real one. Okay, so Perrin arrives near Pale, and at this point he has ridden the coral. He looks back at the Black Moranth squad after landing, and he's like riding away from them. And I wonder how you do with horses. Like, do you transport your horses on them as well, or do you just get new horses? I think you get new horses. So he is riding, and he's met up by he meets up with Talk the Younger, which is a claw at this point. Claw of the Empire. His face and eye have been burned away by a piece of Moon Spawn's rubble, which are called the Moon's Tears, or Tears of the Moon. And he mentions Whiskey Jack. Back in the day, Whiskey Jack used to be a legendary soldier with his own company, but that was removed from history. And that was back in the day when Dasim Ultor was big, before Hood kidnapped his daughter, or took his daughter, basically. So that's some good lore back in the day. And that's where he ended. His journey ended at this point. And Talk introduces himself and tells him that there's some power tension between Dujek and Tayshran at Pale. So he just gives Perrin a pretty good briefing about what's happening in Pale, and things he should be prepared for, and it's a little bit of pressure. But I like Talk at this point. He's very talkative. He's social. He's a nice guy. He's not too much, but he kind of gives you the information you need, and he's kind of like just an enthusiastic, engaged person that really I think you're here to do some good, basically. So that's the first time you get to see him, and this is his injuries or facial, deformation is due to the effects of the Moonspawn, which I also like. Tayshran, at this point, you really hate Tayshran, and he's okay with the collateral damage from Moonspawn, the Tears of the Moon falling down, everyone's basically dying under that, and you get a constant reminder of this with Talk the Younger, that his literally half his face was like burned off because of this decision to like, let's nuke Moonspawn, which is kind of crazy. So I really enjoyed that detail too, and that was a very good first impression of Talk the Younger. Now, here this guide goes really quickly because I have a lot of notes here. So let me read just from my notes because this is so quick. So first of all, while moving along to Pale, Perrin reflects on being used because, he just wanted to be an honest soldier at the start of this book. He just wanted to grow up and be a soldier and do the right thing. And like, that's cool to be a soldier. That's success. You get to do important stuff. But now he kind of, got under the command of Adjunct Lorne, and his reflections are about being used. You're actually being used. Reality is not as he thought it would be when he was a kid. You're just being used for other people's purposes and goals, and you're just a pawn at this point, basically. So he goes into barracks and meets Corporal Picker and Antsy that later shows up, and he gets information. He tries to get information about finding his new squads. And basically Picker's like, well, the odds the odds are you're gonna get killed. And quote, she says, "Go back to Quantali. The Empress needs her feet licked." Which is really funny. And then Antsy comes in and complains that Hedge basically owned him in a card game. Picker introduces Perrin, and Perrin is looking for Whiskey Jack. And when he leaves, he gets some directions to go to like the place where the other bridge burners are playing cards. And after he leaves, Picker tells Antsy like, I bet he's gonna get killed within 2 days, which is insane. It's crazy. But it seems like someone's killing these captains, basically. So Perrin goes into this building where the bridge burners are playing cards. He meets Hedge, Mallet, and Trotz. And Hedge is a sapper. He is the guy with the helmet right above, the dark-skinned guy with the helmet. Trotz is the upper blue guy here. And Mallet is, I believe this is Mallet, this closest image. And I believe this is Picker, and this is Antsy, and Kalam is the topmost picture. So just so we know that. And yeah, he hangs out with these guys playing cards, basically. He meets them, and he wants to talk to Sergeant Whiskey Jack. And Hedge asks for a game, but Perrin doesn't want to take their money because he's like, I'm a captain. I can't be taking the money from my soldiers, which is honorable. And he goes out to find Whiskey Jack, and this is where he just gets murked. Like, I was so shocked when this happened. I was like, yeah, okay, they're talking about it, stuff's gonna happen. He's gonna talk to people and get to know some information or whatever. But this guy just arrived in Pale. He just talked to some soldiers that were like, oh, you're fucked. And then he goes into a card game, and they're like, you want to play some cards with us? He's like, no. And then he goes out of the building to find the sergeant, and he gets murked. Like, that was quick. He didn't get a chance, man. He didn't even get a chance to introduce himself to everyone. So at this point, we know that Sari is possessed by Cotillion, and he gets murked. Like, he tries to defend himself, but he gets 2 daggers in his body, and he is dying, and he is dead. Rip. Rest in peace. That's basically it. As he is dying, he hears a spinning coin, and he hears a man's voice say, "Sloppy, I'm surprised." And then he hears a girl's voice, a girl child, which is his killer, which he knows, keeping an eye on me. And then they have kind of a conversation about this, about like Lacine, and let's see if I can read it, because it was really interesting. Okay, so Shadow Throne says, "Sloppy, I am surprised." And Sari says, "Keeping an eye on me." And Shadow Throne, "Coincidence. Something has entered our warren. Uninvited, my hounds hunt." Sorry, I don't believe in coincidences. Shadowthrone giggles. Nor do I. 2 years ago, we began a game of our own. A simple settling of old scores. It seems we've stumbled into a wholly different game here in Pale. Sorry, whose? Shadowthrone. I shall have that answer soon enough. Sorry. Don't get distracted, Amanas. Lasine remains our target, and the collapse of the empire she rules, but never earned. I have, as always, supreme confidence in you, Cotillion. I must be getting back. Of course. So this is the man Lorne sent to find you. I believe so. This should draw her into the fray, in any case. And is this desirable? So that was basically it. That was the conversation. And while this is happening, Perrin is dying, and he hears a spinning coin. Spinning. So, damn. Reading this conversation now, haven't finished the book, man, that is different. So that was basically it, guys. That was a quick one, and I think I'm going to call this chapter like Knives in the Dark or something like that. And that is the final image of this slide. So that was basically it. Let's see how we can finish this video. Let's see. Do I have any more notes? No. My final note was he gets murked. So at this point, I've been following this guy, Captain Perrin. He's kind of an interesting character. He's a nobleman. He becomes a captain, but he's learning to be humble. He's understanding that like he ain't shit. He feels insignificant. I forgot to say that. When he visits the bridge burners, he feels insignificant. And growing up as a nobleman with a big ego, here no one gives a fuck about him. No one cares about him. And he reflects upon that as well. Like, damn. And, he doesn't even get a chance. And he gets killed. So that's kind of unfortunate and sad. Let's see if I can cover the screen. Hope this doesn't give you a headache, guys. Hope it doesn't give you a headache. I'm just going to end on this note. Why can I? There you go. There you go. So, ending on this note, super interesting to listen to this chapter again, and that was basically it. So we're gonna keep the momentum going. Cheers, guys! And if you're new to my channel, check out this from the first episode. If you listen this far without doing that, man. You like living dangerously. Check out all the other series I got. I got like a philosophy series. I've done tier lists of characters. I've done tier lists of different covers of Malazan. I have philosophy videos, like a lot of YouTube shorts. So this channel is mainly focused on YouTube shorts, but every now and then I'll do some of these long form videos because I feel like it and because I think you guys deserve it. And I feel like Malazan deserves more content, more good content. And the purpose of this is not to be very thorough. It's just to go through this companion guide, which I love because I think it's so useful. So I just want to give it some screen time. Basically, that is actually my my biggest goal here. So just to give some credits at the end too. Let's do it. So this is a guy who made a companion guide, and it is here. He got a coffee page, coffee.com/sunanimander. And let's see, you can also find this person on Reddit. You can see the username below. And Twitter, I don't think Twitter is as much of a thing today, but there's where you can find the person. And right now, these are the companion guides that have been done, which is amazing. So we have up until the 8th book of Malazan Book of the Fallen. And we also have Knight of Knives, which I also have read, actually. Really, really, really recommend that. And that's actually the reading order I recommend as well. And going back to the channel itself, to my channel, where we are at, guys, I just want to tell you guys, remember, I made the pledge. So remember to let me know what you think about this. Give me a comment, give me a like, support the channel, but subscribe. Because every subscription is a vote towards a new video up until chapter 24. So every 100 up until chapter 24 is you're gonna back me covering this entire book, basically. So let's hope that happens. And if you have done your part, I thank you wholeheartedly. I have daily content coming out, so the YouTube shorts are coming out on a daily basis. That's the thing. So I'm not going to stop there, and there might be bonus videos like this one, like so, at least daily videos and probably some more. We'll see where this goes. I'm having a really good time, guys, with you, and I'm really enjoying all your interactions. There are so many wise comments to all of my content, everything from funny comments to wise comments to stuff that you noticed. And a lot of you guys are thoughtful, and a lot of you guys are helpful, and this community is just freaking great. So I just want to say thank you guys for all of this support. And I don't have any like intentions to monetize this channel or anything. That's why I'm using artwork and crediting the artist. Like, I don't give a fuck, guys. I'm just having a good time. This is just something I do on my free time. I have no incentive. My only incentive is fun. And I hope you enjoy this kind of content. And if you have any feedback or suggestions on stuff I should cover, or if I covered something but it needs to be corrected, maybe like in a animals of Malazan video, etc., you can always let me know in the comments. So that was basically it, guys. Cheers. Looking forward to making more content, better content, but keeping it genuine like this, because the reason why I can do a lot of content is I don't edit stuff. I don't write scripts. I just shoot the shit. That's what I've always been doing since July. So thanks for your support once again, guys. Cheers, and I'll see you soon again.